Hi everyone, this is a tutorial to show you how I work stranded colour work with two colours. Now this isn't the only way to work stranded colour work, I'm just going to show you what works for me. So the first thing to note is I'm holding one strand of yarn in each hand. Now I know that there are some people who work with both strands over in their one hand. Personally, I prefer to hold one in each hand. So most of the time I'll have my contrast colour over in my right hand, and I'll have my main colour, the background colour, over in my left hand. But I do switch that around sometimes, and I'll explain why a bit later. So first thing to also note is that I like to keep my two balls of wool separate from each other as much as possible. This just helps to stop with any tangling of the yarn, and it's annoying when that happens. So to avoid it, I tend to have, like if I'm sitting down knitting, I'll have this one over on my left hand side, this one over on my right hand side, and they never go near each other as much as possible, and it just helps with any tangles. Now, most important thing I would say is that constantly when I'm working, I'm spreading the right hand side of my stitches out. Doesn't matter if the left hand stitches are all bunched up and like this, it doesn't matter at all. But what does matter is that on the right hand side, you really want your stitches as spaced out as they will be once the fabric is blocked. So always I'm doing these little movements, just encouraging the stitches to stay spread out. And that makes a huge difference in terms of the amount of slack that is on your floats. That's important because if there's not enough slack on your floats, then you end up with the stitches not having enough slack on the back to stretch out. The fabric won't lay flat nicely. You end up with puckering or bits being pulled in or whatever. Okay, so I'll just show you how I work. So main colour in my left hand, contrast colour in my right hand. I hold them snug but not super tight. I'm a relatively loose knitter, so I hold on to them with a little bit of tension but not a huge amount. And as I said, constantly spreading the stitches on the right needle out as much as possible. So for this row of the pattern, I'm working 3 stitches with my main colour. It's not a very good start. 1, 2, 3. Then I'm making sure that the stitches on the right needle are really spread out, because now I'm coming in with the contrast colour knit 1. And this is why it's so important that the stitches on your right needle are really spread out, because each time you work a contrast colour, you need to make sure that there is enough slack on the floats at the back for those stitches to just be relaxed in that position, not tight and not kind of straining to have enough space. And that's basically how I work. I'll show you also why I like to have my stitches really spread out. So if I show you my floats on the back, you can see they're fairly snug to the back of the fabric, but they're not really tight. And this kind of slight looseness always works out just right for me once they've been blocked. If I bunch up my stitches, can you see how much slack is on those floats? And if I was working with my stitches bunched up like this, each time that I bring my contrast colour across to the next stitches, I'd be losing that much slack. You don't want that, because you need that extra slack so that when the fabric is blocked and it's all beautifully spaced out like this, there's enough slack in those floats at the back that everything just sits really nicely and flat, and each stitch has enough give to just sit comfortably in the place you've put it. Okay, I hope that helps. I'm also going to film another tutorial to show how I catch floats, because where you have a float that's more than, say, between 3 to 5 stitches, then you need to catch that float on the wrong side of your work, and that's the next thing that I will show you.